Hey guys, Chris here. Today we're looking at a very exciting electric car that hopefully is going to come to Norway already next year, and that is the Exlantix ES, a very interesting sporty electric sedan from the Chinese automotive and manufacturer Chery. Their sub-brand is a brand that's going to launch in Norway next year called Exlantix. You can see from the badging this is called the Exceed. But once this comes to Europe, it's going to be called the Exlantix. And this is the ES. I'm currently here in Wuhu, China, about 4 or 5 hours west of Shanghai. And in this video, I'm going to give you guys a full tour of this new Exlantix ES on the exterior and on the interior. The Zaptec GO is a stylish, award-winning home charger. Just look how great it looks in these different lightings. I use one myself, and for more information check the link down below. Now let's start with the front end of this Exlantix ES. So Exlantix is the brand and ES is the name of this model, which is their sporty, luxurious saloon. And I think the front end is one of the best angles of this new car. I think it is very unique and very distinct, and maybe one of the best designs coming out of China ever, in my opinion. It has this aggressive headlight design, and then you have this light bar here that combines those two headlights together, just giving it an overall sleek look. It kind of has like a shark nose where it comes down aggressively here, and it also kicks down here by the number plate. We have a few carbon fiber details, and then we have the screen panels here flanking each side of the bumper below the headlights, which do display some graphics, as you guys can see here. That's not going to come to the European models because that is not allowed in Europe, which is a little bit unfortunate. I think it is a cool feature, so hopefully legislation is going to be changed sometime in the future so the European models can also include that. But overall, I think the front is a very successful design. I really like the front end because it is unique, and we can kind of see the Chinese cars now, the Chinese car design now maturing and coming into their own, because this doesn't look like anything from Europe from the front end, but it still looks very distinct and special, and it looks good. That's the best thing. It looks good. I really like the front end of this ES. But the profile has to be my favorite angle of this car. I really like the front end, distinct and special, but here it really looks like a luxurious and sporty sedan. It's a little bit reminiscent of an Audi A7, but at the same time, it doesn't look like a copy of an Audi A7. This is very distinct, its own thing. You know, with these really cool rims, classically designed cool rims. There's no arrow going on here with these wheels. They're just good looking wheels. And I think, you know, the shoulder that curves around here over the front wheel arches and just extends over that rear wheel arch, very reminiscent Audi A7, but still, you know, the A7 doesn't have a patent on cool and sleek lines. I just think this executes that type of design language really well. You have a few cameras on this car, like the LiDAR on top. That's not going to come to Europe because that has to do with the autonomous driving features that are allowed here in China that aren't allowed in European markets yet. But as you guys can see here, the rear light design also kicks in. It just have really big and floaty surfaces, and it just looks clean and sleek. I really like the roofline that kicks back, giving this car a very efficient drag coefficient. And then we have this rear wing, which finishes off the design and the lines. Rounding off the exterior, we have the rear end, which in my opinion is the least attractive, the least successful design of this ES, but by no means is it unattractive. It's just maybe a little bit boring and uninspiring compared to the rest of the car. And this is where maybe they picked the most inspiration from other brands, like this rear light bar design, kind of reminiscent of a Porsche Panamera or a Porsche Taycan. I mean, that's a good thing also with this wing, but again, it's just maybe a little bit too boring and not that daring. I wish they went a little bit more flamboyant with the rear end, because the profile and the front end is so special and so unique. Also, this being a Chinese model, we have a lot of badging and lettering. And once this car comes to Europe, we're not going to have all of these badges and letters. and it's going to say Exlantix here instead of Exceed. And hopefully this car is going to come with a black package for the logos, making it look even more sporty than it is. But I really like this rear wing design and how this rear window rakes down. Again, not the most exciting angle, not too much going on, but still an attractive design overall. So the backside of, this stylish design is that the trunk isn't the biggest. So 420 liters, but the opening is actually quite decent. And this is a present I got from here at the exhibition. It's a fan because it's kind of warm and hot, even though outside is blowing out. It's really nice. So this is quite cool. I think this is kind of like a traditional Chinese thing. But yeah, it is quite deep and long. And is there any? No, there's no storage underneath here. But again, this is a compromise you're going to get from a design like this. Maybe they're going to make a station wagon version, or maybe like a Sport Turismo version. But I mean, you can't have everything. You can't have everything. You can't have style. You can't have substance. You can't have, those good looks, and also have a lot of practicality. So I don't think it's too bad. I don't think people looking at a car like this is too worried about the trunk not being the biggest of any car. Up front, we also have a frunk. So it's not the biggest. They say 50 liters. This doesn't look like 50 liters at all. I have to be honest. It looks pretty small. But they say 50 liters. I want to ask you guys a small favor that is completely free for you, and that is subscribing to the channel. You may not care about subscribers, and I really don't care about subscribers, but the manufacturers and the brands do. So when I try to get early access to a car, they look at my subscriber count, they look at my view count. View count is very good, but subscribers is a little bit lacking for where I want to be to, be invited to more events. So I want to ask you guys to subscribe to the channel, and if we can get to 50,000 subscribers before the end of October, I want to plan a big trip somewhere in Europe, somewhere around the world with an awesome electric car, and I want you guys to choose where. So again, thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for commenting and liking and also subscribing. Now let's hop into the cabin of this ES. So on the steering wheel, again, it says Exceeds, and I've said it many times in this video. Once this comes to Europe, it's going to be badged as Exlantix. The reason it's not going to be called Exceed in Norway and in Europe is because another company owns that trademark. So this car has an all artificial leather interior, which actually feels really nice. It feels nice to the touch, but once this car comes to Europe, it's going to have real leather and real woods, and I think that is a nice choice. One of the product managers I was talking to here, Alex, talked about smells in a car, and that natural leather and a real wood just gives a better ambiance and a nicer smell, so passengers and drivers don't get nauseous. And I think that is a very good point. I'm kind of sensitive to smells in a good way and in a bad way, like in my private vehicle, my Porsche Taycan, which has leather everywhere. Every time I sit into that car, it smells like an expensive handbag. This smells kind of different and interesting, and maybe going for a longer trip in this car would make me, feel nauseous. So does the seat go low enough? Oh, it goes lower. Okay, so a lot of these, Chinese cars with their seats don't go low enough. I think this seat, I'm sat, kind of in my driving position here. It goes low, but I wish it just went a little bit lower. Just make the seat brackets a little bit smaller. But yeah, you do get a low driving position, and I don't feel like I'm sitting up, in the roof, like in something like a Neo ET5, where you just can't get the roof down. And I remember last time I drove one of those, my friend who's, 6'2", he felt like he was sitting, inside the roof. I'm about 5'10", 5'11", like an average adult, and I'm fine here. I wish I could get the seat like a centimeter or two lower, but I'm fine. I have plenty of headroom here. So you have, this infotainment system screen here, which, we're not going to get to look at too much. And then we have the driver display here, which is a cool setup. You have these really nice and soft materials on top of the doors and on top of the dashboard. You have this, Alcantara type of material, microfiber type of material, and really large mirrors. These mirrors are huge. And then you have, a center console design here. It kind of reminds me, especially with the window switches, of a Neo. but it just feels nicer. It feels higher quality. Like the Neos, I'm not a huge fan of their interiors. Yes, their imitation leathers feel nice, but I think that the interiors just feel a little bit cheap and chintzy. This feels a lot better, and I think you do have to go into some settings here to do the, yeah, I'm not going to find that now, to do the steering wheel control. So you have dual cup holders, you have a little bit of storage, you have your wireless phone charger there, large armrest, and these seats, they look comfortable. I mean, they're nice. I think they're ventilated, they're heated, and overall they just look really nice. An attractive interior, but it remains to be seen once we get this car on Norwegian roads what the actual interior will be like. And I hope we have a few color options, though I really like this light colored material. So on the exterior, this car is almost 5 meters long, but it has a 3-meter long wheelbase, and that shows with the interior space. There is a huge amount of knee room, and also even with that sloping rear roof, there is not too much headroom, but I'm fine here. As you know, a 5'10", 5'11", 180 centimeters adult, I'm fine here. But if you're a lot taller, I think you're going to start struggling with the headroom. The rear bench is quite flat, but the cabin is quite wide. So my only complaints is that you're almost, you know, the seat is, the cushion is close to the floor, so you feel like you're sitting really up from the floor. So there's not a lot of under thigh support. And also with the seat, front seat set, you know, to the lowest position, there isn't any room for my feet. But the floor is completely flat. You can haunch like this, you can relax. And yeah, overall, it's just a really spacious place. Maybe even the middle seat is a little bit better, but yeah, you start lacking in that headroom department. Also materials here, nice in the rear. You have a large armrest here with cup holders. Curiously enough, there's black you know, glossy black plastics here on the rear armrest, which is basically the only place in this interior that has that. We don't have that in the front cabin. There's a little bit of that here with the rear HVAC controls, so that's just a little bit curious. But overall, a comfortable and roomy rear seat. I mean, this is quite roomy. So there we go, guys. That was my full exterior and interior tour of this brand new Exlantix ES Sport Luxury Sleek Electric Sedan. So we don't know pricing yet, but I think for this to be competitive and for it to make an impact on the Norwegian market, I think with all-wheel drive and the performance and with this battery pack, the 77 kilowatt hour gross capacity, it has to be priced somewhere around a Tesla Model 3. Even though this is a bigger vehicle and it looks so much better than any Tesla Model 3, the Tesla is already a well-established brand and a well-established model that is just going to sell by itself. So if they have any ambitions selling this at any volumes in Norway or in Europe, they have to price it very competitively. And if it comes to Norway and to Europe at that price point, I think this is a steal. So I'm crossing my fingers that it will, because this is maybe the first Chinese car I've ever considered for myself. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.